Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday. You have made it to the weekend if that is your thing. If not, you're getting ready to get in, get your bread on for the weekend. Hope everybody is having a great day, having a great week, and more importantly, about to have a great weekend. As always, I'm your host, Tyson. With me, my good friend and Buccaneer decked out, Jeffrey off of the schneid. Jeffrey, looking good over there today, and you're popping red. How are we doing?
Doing great. Just looking forward to the Bucks winning the NFC South once again. Going to be great. Also, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to all the mothers who watch this podcast. The mothers and the other mothers as well too. Just happy Mother's Day to everybody on Sunday. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and checking us out here at the Uninformed Fan. And nothing but love to you guys. You're incredible. We appreciate everything you do for us.
Yes, and happy Mother's Day to my mother as well, and to my dog mom, Ms. the love of my life, my wife. We don't have any children, but we do have two dogs, and they are quite the handful. So I'm going to give her a little bit of credit on that one.
Are you somebody? Do you consider, like, I don't know how to say this properly. Do you consider dogs just like the same value as children?
Well, no. Obviously, there's one thing about creating a human life that literally is shed from another human. However, I do believe that the love is somewhat comparable. Not saying to stay on the same level, but I know, the day comes when something happens to my boy that it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good thing. So I think that the love is comparable. I don't think that you could obviously compare anything as far as having your own child. Like I said, something that you've actually created, that mother have carried for 9 months, childbirth, the sleepless nights growing up as a baby. I don't know. I don't think you could compare that. But now on the same token, though, I remember when we got our little puppy Athena that, Bianca laid on the floor with her for like the first week, because she was crying, waking up, all that stuff. So, again, yeah. So, I don't think it's quite the same level, but the love, there's something there with the connection. The saying is now is plants are the new pets and dogs are the new kids. So there's got to be a little bit of something there.
Yeah, no, it's very the dichotomy of it too, in terms of like the thought process of like when you have a dog, that there's a finite amount of years that dog is going to live. And as opposed to when you have a human, you hope that your child, will, of course, obviously outlive you.
Yes, you never want to bury your child.
Yeah, and like the fact that like pretty much 100% of the time, your dog's not going to outlive you.
I know,
and it's a kind of a mental thing that I've always been curious about. I'm not a huge animal person. Obviously, I love animals and I show love to them, but I also view them as animals as well too. And so the different dichotomy of how it is to have that mindset of that dog is going to die. I don't know.
It's very, very tough.
I admire people who have that love and can still work through that. You know what I mean?
It's very, very tough. Like my wife would love to have another one, and that was literally the conversation I had with her. Is look, I know that my big boy is he's gonna be 9. He's getting up there. I can't, and then I got the little one. I can't do it 3 times. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way in hell. But with that being said, I didn't think I'd have 2 huskies either. So we'll see how that goes.
Beautiful dogs, by the way, too.
Thank you.
They're absolutely gorgeous.
They are not hanging out with me in the man cave today. They are down there with the missus hanging out.
With the wife. You guys got any plans today or this weekend or anything? Or what do you got going on?
I have, we're really, coming back to, like I said, we talked a little bit about F1 for those didn't get to see it on YouTube. But, I came back kind of with a different mindset. So I'm really going to go into my memorabilia storage today. I'm pulling everything out of it, making sure that I have everything listed. I'm going to start promoting certain items. I have about 1,000 or 2,000 cards, football cards, baseball cards, NBA cards to go through, to value, to price point, to put those on. We just happened to look last night. We're like, hey, let's look at this one box that we have, because I have about 15 sealed boxes with rookies and stuff like that. We pulled out a CD Lamb rookie card that's worth about $700. and then we pulled out the Justin Herbert rookie card that was worth about 500. So that kind of got the juices flowing a little bit more. I got that going on, and then this weekend, me and I know that the Live Life Media Group portion, my producer DJ, I don't even know what his DJ name is, Dino. I don't even know what we're not really. It's Elon Lawless is his producer name is Elon Lawless, okay. And then our artist is Lord Kilo Toke. Yes, that's an interesting one, but he's sticking with it, and we're behind it. But we come up with some avenues. We figured out how to really start digging into social media. So we have a complete social media market blitz happening this weekend. So lots of good stuff going on over here at the conglomerate that is Thomas LLC Enterprises.
Thomas everything. When you find those cards and you know that they're worth X amount of dollars, will you sit on those until football season, or will you try to move those immediately as soon as you can? Because obviously, let's say CeeDee Lamb blows up in a game, the value could go up. Let's say Herbert comes out week 1. I don't know who they play, but let's say Herbert comes out week 1 and goes crazy. That value could skyrocket as well too. Do you care that much about that, or are you just kind of like offload them and keep it moving?
The market doesn't necessarily go by games, but however, it does go by seasons. What we saw when Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, we saw his jerseys and stuff go from anywhere like an authentic signed jersey from like $500-$600 to $1,500 once he made it to the Super Bowl. So if those players do get to that level, then absolutely. Like I have about 5 Justin Fields rookie cards. I have a few limited editions. I think I have a 1 of 5, a 1 of 10. I have a couple Tiger Woods rookie cards as well that are Gem Mint 10s that have been graded. Those are the ones that I'm going to hold on to. But, unless it's like one of those super, super high cards, definitely a limited edition, a number, or a signed card, then, I'll hold on to those for value. But the rest of them, I'm going to start unloading. It's liquidation time, baby. It's liquidation time.
That's it.
We're becoming liquid.
Sales.
That's right. Get those sales in.
Love it.
Well, let's get into it a little bit. We're going to recap a little bit of some other actions. Then we're going to dive hard into the NFL. We did have the schedule released last night. Lots of stuff going on. The NFL schedule department has more leaks than the Titanic, because by the time that it actually came out, we pretty much knew the schedule. It's kind of like the NHL lottery picks as well. So the NBA last night, we saw the Celtics 76ers. What an interesting game this was. I wrote off the Celtics at least 3 times during that game. I'm like, this is it. It's over. Lo and behold, the NBA comes along 4 or 5 minutes ago in the fourth quarter, and here we are right back in it again. Jason Tatum, as we discussed, had a horrible game throughout the entire time. I looked over at my wife. I said, this guy just doesn't even want the ball right now. He doesn't want to shoot. He kept dishing it. And then he hit that first 3. You could kind of see a little bit like, oh, okay, I think he hit the second 3 and it was over. Jason Tatum comes back, brings the Celtics back to win, to force Game 7 against your Philadelphia 76ers. Are the 76ers, I'll let you recap a little bit your thoughts on the game, but are the 76ers in trouble heading back to Boston?
It's not ideal. You don't want to go back to a Game 7 where I think home teams are like 135-14 or something like that. Some crazy stat. Listen, I thought the game changed. Tatum got to the free throw line in the fourth quarter. I think there was about 6 minutes left. He got fouled, knocked down both free throws, and a lot of times when you get scores who could get hot, that's what happens. Knocks down both free throws, 4 threes in the game. I think the Sixers got to do a better job of countering. The Boston's big lineup, when I saw them say that they're going to start Robert Williams and that Al Horford would play alongside him as well too, I said, oh, that's a desperation move from Missoula. I didn't like the move at all. You get into the game itself and you see the way it works. The Sixers were not able to get the ball in the paint the entire game, at least in the very first half of the game as well too. Maxey is just an absolute stud. Played his heart out. Harden's got to be better. We'll see what happens in Game 7. I mean, obviously Harden's had some big games in Boston, but listen, it's going to be a fun Mother's Day. That's all I got to say. We'll see what happens.
It's definitely going to be a fun Mother's Day. Prediction?
I mean, I'm not steering away from the 76ers. I think the 76ers have a better roster, a better team, and they have the MVP of the league. So I will take Philly, but it is going to be a tough game.
MVP of the league. Like that matters. Oh,
To some it does. To some it does.
to you. And that's why LeBron James is also your GOAT. Oh,
I've never said that.
set it up right there on a tee. Well, the Nuggets took care of business last night. The Suns, no Ayton. I mean, they just came out. I don't even think they wanted to play. I think they already had their Cancun tickets booked. They were on already. You know, Denver just dominated really the entire series. I mean, there was a couple games there, but, you know, they just looked like the superior team the whole way. You know, I really feel bad for one person on this whole thing, and that's CP3. And, you know, that guy's been around for a long time. He's played with some great teams. One of the best players, you know, that we have seen in the game of basketball. And I thought that this was his one shot, right? His shot to get his ring kind of right off in the history. Because I don't think there was any doubt in my mind if the Phoenix Suns won, he was retiring. That was it. And, you know, to see him get hurt, then them to go out the way that they did, man. I just feel bad for CP3. I don't necessarily think he's like one of my favorite players or anything. I just can appreciate his career, the longevity, what he's done. But, you know, to see that and go out that way, I felt pretty bad for him on that one.
It was great the Suns won 2 games in this series because after watching game 1, I didn't think that was possible. But I will say this. I do think the Suns will be back next year. They'll be much, much more improved than they were this year. They had no depth, no bench, no nothing. DeAndre Ayton looks like an absolute just whatever term you want to use, this derogatory.
Not good player. Not good player.
No, he looks soft. He doesn't play with any heart. Whatever term you want to use to make that point is absolutely fine with me. But yeah, he's got to figure something out this offseason because he ain't got it.
Well, we'll see.
Four years, $132 million, by the way, is what he got paid this offseason.
Yeah, but I mean, in relative terms for NBA players, that's not very much.
4 for 132. I mean, I feel like that's pretty substantial.
I mean, you got bench players that don't even see the light of day making 15, 20 million a year.
Who?
Look it up. All of them. All of them. Jeremy,
all bench players make 15 or 20 million a year?
Bro, look at it. I'm telling you, it's nuts. I'm not saying that they all make it, but I'm saying that there's bench players out there making 15, 20 million a year. That's just the state of it. You got your highest players that are making 50 million a year. Your LeBrons, your Stephs, your Supermax contracts, right? So, I mean, just half of that would be 25. And even if you're down another half of that, you're still at 13 million. I mean, that's I'll take 13 million to ride the pine. Absolutely. Jeremy, if you could look that up, maybe check that out for us, that'd be great. But tonight, so we have the Knicks. The Knicks fought and they got back to South Beach.
One second, my headphones just died.
Oh boy. And see, this is what happens when we're talking about kids and dogs, everybody. The kids didn't charge the headphones. And then so here we go. Now Jeffrey has no headphones. But we're going to be patient with them. Now, Jeremy, you said the average salary is 1.6 mil. Is that what we're talking about? Bench players? Just bench players? Highest salaries bench players in NBA. Dun, dun, dun.
We're good.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, so let's look at Markelle Fultz. He starts now though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a chance to, in my opinion, be one of the best players in the league next year.
Derrick Rose is making $13.4 million.
Okay.
Joe Harris, is he starting?
Joe Harris. Yeah, he starts for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, he's starting now. So this is obviously an outdated.
He started with KD and Kyrie on the floor.
Yeah, because Michael Porter Jr. starter now. Yeah, this isn't really. Yeah. This is all starters. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. It says this is the NBA's most expensive bench warmers. Oh, this is the 21-22 season. Okay, so yeah, that's a little outdated. But we'll figure that out. But yeah, I mean, it is shocking what they're making. So the Knicks, we talked about whether or not they were going to get back down to South Beach and enjoy the weather, enjoy that pool. They fought like hell, and they did it. I think that they did it just for another free vacation because tonight the Heat wrapped this up. And now the Knicks are going to have a nice long weekend down in South Beach with the family. They're going to be able to go to the beach, hang by the pool, enjoy the whole weekend while the Heat get ready for their next opponents.
It's a much quicker flight to Cancun from Miami than it is from New York. We will say that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Listen, at the end of the day, like I said before, this series doesn't really matter to me because whoever wins this series is going to get swept or, gentleman sweep by whoever they play in the next round. So,
really,
the Heat, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off here. I completely apologize, but I have to stick up for my man Justice here. There is no way the Heat are getting swept by the Celtics. No way. No shot. No way. As a matter of fact, I think that might be a series. Now, I think the 76ers will probably hold a little bit higher over the Heat, but I think that the Heat still get 2 out of that. But no way that the Heat are getting swept by either one of these teams.
The Heat game 3 in whatever series they play.
You what?
I said I'll give them game 3 and whoever the series is against.
So you're giving them one game?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, dude! You're lucky Justice isn't here. He obviously is not here today because he would be losing his mind right now.
He wouldn't be losing his mind. He would just say, "Who's stopping the Miami Heat? Ain't nobody stopping us. My name on Call of Duty is Himothy Buckets." It's a cute story. It's really good. You don't have the roster to compete, unfortunately. You have the roster to compete against New York.
But you've been saying that throughout the playoffs. They didn't have the roster to beat the Bulls. They didn't have the roster to beat the Bucks. And I was on your side on this, for majority of this. And then now they're going to have the roster. I'm swaying, bro. I'm swaying. Eventually, when you say this team doesn't do it and they keep continuing to do it, you have to look at them and say, you know what? Maybe I was a little bit wrong about this team.
I admitted that I was wrong about them in the first round, and I thought they would win this series against the Knicks. I'm pretty sure I stated that because I don't think the Knicks are very good either.
Right, get some fact checkers on here. Where's the Facebook? Where's the Facebook fact? I don't know. I just say I just need we need the Facebook fact checkers. This is flagged.
Yeah, no.
This is COVID related information.
I thought the Heat's roster could definitely compete against the Knicks. I wouldn't take the Knicks in this series. I liked the Heat, but that being said, going forward, I don't. Listen, it's a cute story, very cute story.
But who would have ever thought though that what did they come in as the 8 seed in the playoff tournament?
Playing game.
Well, which we think will be in. Yeah, but I mean, I think the Heat was a real 8 seed. The Lakers was not a real.
The Lakers were a 7 seed, but
they weren't. They weren't a real 7 seed. Half of them didn't play the year. Blah blah blah. But who would have ever thought? So you could go for that way. A 7 and an 8 seed from each side are both going to be potentially in the conference finals. That's crazy.
They're a 6 seed right now.
Huh?
They came in as a 6 seed. The Warriors came in as a 6 seed as well too.
Okay, but that's not inaccurate because were they healthy the entire year? How many games were missed?
How not accurate.
It's not accurate. It's not accurate. That's like saying, Giannis missed 90% of the games and comes in as a 6 seed, and then he's completely healthy for the last 2 weeks of the season, and they go into the playoffs. Just because it has a little number next to their name doesn't mean that that's the real seed or the potential of said team.
Yeah, but they didn't have major injuries to either team. I mean, LeBron got hurt for the Lakers.
How many games did Anthony Davis play?
Well, Anthony Davis is just a different story. And supposedly, that's a great segue into this next game that we have going on tonight in terms of the Warriors and the Lakers. Should be a good one. It does look like Anthony Davis will play tonight. They said that he's okay. It's amazing to me how they do not diagnose him with a concussion or mention anything about concussion, because if he goes into protocol, he's done. And there was a very interesting fact of Draymond Green. You talk about two different dudes in terms of the way that they play the game. Draymond Green goes up to get a rebound and bangs his head off the floor so hard, right? Doesn't say anything. Pops right up. Listen, you're not going to check me out. I'm fine. Keep it moving. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't get checked for a concussion. He was probably playing last game with a concussion when he went off for 20, whatever he had.
Let's just say he's living his life in a concussion.
Yeah, he's, that's just Draymond. And it's also amazing the way that Draymond just screams and yells at people and continues to get away with it.
Bro, every foul, he is up in the ref's face. Every single time.
crazy. But yeah, so it looks like we will have a fully healthy contingent on the Lakers. The problem is that Andrew Wiggins has some cartilage issues in his ribs, and it looks like he is now questionable for tonight and might not play. And that would be a huge hit for the Golden State Warriors. I think, to me, missing Andrew Wiggins would be just the dagger in them. They're not coming back from that, especially if AD and LeBron are both going downhill and D'Angelo Russell's hitting three. Is going to be a tough game.
It's definitely going to be a tough game. You know, obviously, I hope that we see a game 7.
Obviously,
I'd
love to see a bunch of game 7s on Mother's Day. It'd be great.
Absolutely, that would be this is the epitome of sports. Like you said, it's gonna be 100% contingent off of Anthony Davis. You know, he said he didn't go to concussion. They said he tested for a concussion and was negative. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if he has signs, I don't know. It's just
that
great.
Was the NFL, he would still be questionable and not participating in practice or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't know. They haven't gotten sued yet, I guess, so they haven't been able to put in a protocol for him. It's just amazing. Sometimes you see some of these hits that these guys take, and on TV, you know, they're flailing around like they just got, you know, took a a 45 to the chest or something like that. And, you know, you see it on TV and you're like, oh, it doesn't look that bad. And then all of a sudden they show them, they got, you know, the rocky cut over the eye, the whole thing's swelling shut. And like, oh, maybe he did get hit pretty good there, you know. But we'll see. Let's see what happens. Let's go Golden State. I know that's your team, even though you kind of are rooting for the Lakers a little bit. We'll see what happens. Let's just hope it's a good game.
You know, it's actually a pleasure just to be able to sit back and watch this series for what it is and enjoy basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, yeah, I'd love to see LeBron win another one. I think it'd be great. But also, I'd like to be right and say that I think Golden State was going to win the series and make it to the NBA Finals. So there's the aspect of that as well, too, the yin and the yang, you know. But it's just nice to be able to sit back and watch great basketball, honestly.
I think it's absolutely hilarious that all the mainstream sports talks are talking about how the fact that if LeBron wins this one, right, wins this ring, now he has a legitimate shot to debate Jordan as the GOAT. It's just like there's never going to be enough. You're either one side or the other. That's it.
Well, shout out to my boy Frank Burgo, and you know I always say this: like my opinion is allowed to change based off new information that I create or obtain daily, hourly.
I like the create part.
You know what I mean? Create.
You just said information that you create.
Okay, information that I receive. Okay, whatever. But I mean, I guess information is created in our own ways as well too. But Frank did say last night, he was talking about, listen, if LeBron wins 2 more, you know, if he gets 2 more, then you got to start to think, you know, there's a possibility. Now, will we ever say that LeBron James, you know, if you're on one side or the other, it's just going to be it. You know, LeBron,
100%.
Greatest small forward of all time. Jordan, greatest shooting guard of all time. Magic Johnson, greatest.
I wouldn't even say that.
Time.
I think Steph's a better shooting guard than Jordan.
Steph's a point guard.
Well, the word guard is still in there, correct?
Okay, we're going to move on.
Speaking of guards, our boy JJ Redick, who we both have, you know, come to appreciate his basketball knowledge a little bit more, listening to him some of the ESPN and some of the takes, has interviewed for, what was it, the Raptors job, correct?
I believe so.
Thoughts?
Initial thoughts were why, you know, I mean, he seems like a pundit. He seems like a guy who's super young. I don't know. I do know that there's been precedent with this when you see guys like Doc Rivers, who, you know, went straight from analyst to head coach. I know we mentioned guys like Jason Kidd. I know, you know, there's other examples of guys that have gone and pretty much skipped the process of having to go through everything. It's going to be tough with JJ. You know, he's a white kid who went to Duke. And so he's already got some things working against him, in my opinion, when it comes to that.
What does that mean?
He seems like a smart guy. Just the general rhetoric of what we would like to see. You know, I feel like we like to probably see, not we, but a lot of the community would probably like to see the Jamel Hills, the Joy Taylors of the world. You know, if this guy was to just skip ahead and get a job, I feel like they might scream white privilege, you know, or something like that against him. So you know.
Oh, they can scream anything they want. That doesn't mean that it discredits his qualification nor did the job, and that's part of the problem with the society and what we're talking about as far as somebody that's able to interview for a job or potentially get a job. They didn't have a problem with Jason Kidd doing it, so
Yeah, I mean, Steve Nash just recently failed though too. There are a few arguments.
Steve
against
Nash failed. I think that JJ Redick, I've just come to appreciate his basketball knowledge a little bit more than I guess you see him beyond the player, right? We didn't get that with Jason Kidd. We definitely didn't get that with Steve Nash. We just saw him go straight in. Whereas, we've had JJ Redick now on the airwaves for over a year now. And just listen to him talk about spreading the floor, the basketball knowledge, the difference in the eras, plus I think that he has definitely earned accreditation with the players in the NBA by playing alongside of them for as long as he did. And, he did play for multiple coaches, multiple teams. And I think that he's earned that respect a little bit more. And then when we talk about the age, I think that, that also goes in the same fact that maybe it's the NFL, you had the Sean McVays and the young, the new, the energetic, the kind of change in the way that the NFL plays the game a little bit, more schemes, more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that he can offer. However, at a 5-on-5, there's only so many different ways that you can play the NBA game, and
I think basketball is much more respect driven though. In terms of like football, you'll respect great minds, maybe possibly, Bill Belichick and certain guys like that. But when it comes to basketball, it seems like it's very much more about respect of what you did on the court and how you played the game. You're not going to say anything to a guy like Jason Kidd or Doc Rivers, who played at a very high level. JJ was a spot up shooter pretty much his entire career, and will he garner the same respect from all-star players as those other guys do? I don't have the answer to that.
Well, let me just point this question.
Will tell,
if that's the angle that we're going to look at, how much respect then would Becky Hammon get from the players?
I think a ton of respect, in my opinion. I think Becky.
But if we're talking about playing, but if we're talking about the way that the game was played and how you play the game, no.
I'm talking about going straight from being a player to jumping into a head coaching role, right? And what kind of respect do you garner there? Becky Hammon has cut her teeth in the NBA as an assistant coach for years now. I think Becky, and she's worked with USA Basketball. She's worked with these guys in different scenarios. I think Becky Hammon is a different scenario than a guy like JJ Redick. I'd be pleased to see Becky Hammon get a.
Well, I just think what we're talking about as far as I think these are obviously two completely separate different candidates. You have one that, like you said, has been coaching. I was just talking about more of the aspect of what we're talking about as far as the players respecting, and I can see your point. Is they wouldn't even look at that versus Becky Hammon versus JJ Redick because JJ played.
That's not even a thought, right?
I understand. But it's like what you're saying there.
It's like you played, but how good were you when you played? What kind of a role did you have? How are you going to educate me on how to be an alpha dog when you were a spot up shooter your whole? You know what I mean? Like there's a different mindset I feel like that might go into that. Is all I'm saying.
Could, but then you got somebody like Michael Jordan that dominated. That's been an absolute terrible owner. Front office type, as well. And then, like I said, I don't think Phil Jackson had an amazing career in the NBA. I could be wrong.
But he was good.
He was good. Yeah. Redick was the 2006 Player of the Year. But yeah, but that's college. That doesn't really count. But I definitely think that there's been players that have been mediocre players or even subpars that have gone on to being able to coach at a higher level than what they played in. And I think that just accounts a little bit more to the basketball IQ. You might not have had the talents, but you had the vision, right? And you knew what the plays needed, but you just, some people are born with it. Some people are not.
If you're able to walk into that room, into that locker room and command that presence and stand up in front of those men, and lead them to the promised land or sell your vision to them or whatever it is, then obviously you're going to garner respect immediately. We hear people talk all the time and immediately they garner our respect by the way that they speak and how intelligent they are with things. So Jeremy
just posted the perfect analogy to what you're talking about. Spot up shooter Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is JJ Redick 100%, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, but to the same point of what you just said, when Steve Kerr took over the Golden State Warriors job, all of that mainstream media, ESPN, Jamel Hill, all of them filleted the Golden State Warriors for hiring him. Was it Mark Brown? That was
Jackson was the coach there before.
And there was definitely some controversy there because, Mark Jackson built a great team. It was going, but they decided to move to a different direction. And that was the exact same narrative as what you're talking about. The white boy gets to go in and take over what he just started, and he's going to get all of the accolades from all the hard work that he did. Now, I do know as well that Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors gave Mark Jackson his flowers, when they started doing and said, this was a lot of the foundation that he had built. However, but to your point, that was the exact same narrative that they had. And then
another guy I'm shocked hasn't gotten a job yet, too, since the Warriors.
Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Maybe he just took the money and just decided to go live in Cancun because, he got paid. That's for sure.
No, he's an ESPN analyst now with Jeff Van Gundy on now, like every single huge national broadcast game that they do on ESPN.
If you're getting paid $1 million here and there to call games versus the stress of actually have to be involved, it depends on where your passion lies, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
I just think if you're a basketball person that you'd rather be a coach than an analyst. But
Absolutely, but
I'm
you're must not be getting the opportunity.
And he's there, so
you are an analyst too, Jeffrey.
Whatever you're gonna say,
Absolutely. Well, moving on, Steve Kerr was the GM for the Suns prior to becoming the Dubs. Yeah, but he still wasn't in that role. But yeah, so quick NHL news. We got the Panthers Leafs tonight. Panthers look to close it out. Hopefully they get that done. The Oilers Knights have tied it up to 2-2. Stars and the Kraken. Stars took a game last night, ended up 3-2, and the Hurricanes just demolished the Devils 4-1. That Carolina team looks very, very scary going into the next round. We will dive a little bit more into hockey as we get closer to the divisional, the conference finals and the Stanley Cup. I will be, Jeffrey won't. And we'll have a couple guests on that will help break us down a little bit further once we get into that. Now, getting into the bad boy, the boss of them all, the NFL schedule released last night. It amazes me the hype that this league continues to get over every single thing that they do. I saw some of this. Now we got these hype videos, the schedule release videos. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Titans video, but I don't know. Did you happen to see the San Diego Chargers? Are they the San Diego Chargers anymore? LA Chargers?
Chargers.
Did you see their hype video?
No.
It's based in anime. And I guess they did it last year and they got a bunch of accolades and stuff.
Of nerds.
I think I watched for 5 seconds and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But apparently they work all year long on it. But the Titans released their schedule video and it was absolutely hilarious. I don't know. Do we want to show that? It was absolutely hilarious. They're basically interviewing random people on the streets with their logos, and what was the Atlanta Falcons one? Do you remember what that one was? Oh God, it was something like the Razor Hawks or something like that.
Show the video. Who cares?
It was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, let me bring it up here.
Pull it up, just so we can educate our audience on what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Need some music here in the meantime.
No, we don't. I have been listening to a lot of Morgan Wallen lately, though. My wife thinks that I'm going through a midlife crisis.
Because you're listening to country music?
Yeah, somebody who's been dedicated to hip hop my whole life to start, just flip over to country. And literally, I'm only listening to country music now for, I don't know. Hip hop's just been so weird to me lately. And, it's tough, man. I'm watching Ted Lasso. I'm crying the other day. It's like I'm an emotional wreck over here. You start having, your third kid, life comes at you fast, buying a house. There's a lot going on in life. It's just,
bro,
it's very emotional.
You don't have to tell me, dude. There's a lot of, I get teary up on numerous different things watching. It's.
Dude, I went 15 years without crying, and then all of a sudden it's like I watch a Modern Family episode, and I'm fucking bawling my eyes out.
Let's see if we can get this to work here.
What is that? St. Louis Rams.
Oh. Lightning McQueen. No.
Lightning McQueen.
Oh, that's just the football logo.
That's just the football logo. Brownies.
Boston Bobcats. No idea.
Boston
no idea.
Bobcats. Yes.
Cowboys, yeah.
I like how all 4 of them were like, yeah, that's definitely the Cowboys.
Baltimore Orioles.
I'll give them credit on that, though. They at least had Baltimore, right?
It's the Red Stallions. Ah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
There it was, the Red Stallions.
49 to 69ers. 49 Cowboys.
The 69ers. Ma'am?
It's a Pirates
This is the Bucks. Gotta be the Bucks.
from the islands of the Caribbean.
Islands of the Caribbean, baby. Here we are.
Chester Cheeto.
Chester Cheeto.
Tigers. North Carolina Tigers.
Yeah, you know? She got Carolina correct.
That's the Cowboys. That's the Cowboys. Texas. Got that.
Ah. The-
Atlanta. That's it. Florida. Florida Dolphins.
yeah, Atlanta, Florida Dolphins.
Texans.
Hey.
Oh, hold on a second.
Got one right.
Little technical difficulties here. I apologize. As always. Thank you.
Eagles. Pittsburgh.
Eagles, Pittsburgh. Seattle Seahawks.
Bulls? Who? Patriots? That's the Patriots logo.
Don't I? That it actually does not exist.
That is Nashville, Tennessee.
Tennessee Titans.
Titans.
And of course, they get all of the hometown.
Tennessee Titans. Woo!
Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans. Wait, what?
Good job.
I'm
Awesome.
assuming she's the Bachelorette wearing the all red.
I don't know, dude. That was awesome. Good job. Yeah, that that was absolutely great. So let's get the Bucks. We're gonna break down the Bucks schedule here. Then we're gonna get into a little bit of the Chicago Bears, and we'll get into some schedule predictions here. So the Bucks.
Up week 1 against the Packers, right? Is that correct?
We're gonna get into the Bears. We're gonna do the Bucks first. We're gonna give you, let the better record go first here. So the Bucks open up against Minnesota in Minnesota, and then the Bears come into town.
Bears come to Tampa.
Absolutely. And
Will Devin White be able to chase around Justin Fields the whole game? Will Devin White play hard this year? Or does Devin White want a new contract? Tune in next week on It's Devin White time to talk for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's funny. We talked about this a little bit about how, what would you say the coach said? Devin White's got a champagne problem.
Got champagne problems.
Champagne on a beer budget.
He's making $11 million this year, and he's upset that he doesn't have a new contract or he wants to be traded. One of the two. You're making $11 million this year, homie. It's like your 4th year in the league. We haven't even picked up your 5th-year option. Okay? Let's pump the frickin' brakes, dude.
Which is surprising. Why did they haven't picked up the 5th-year option yet?
Because he's erratic. He overplays things. He plays with too much emotion and not with his head sometimes. He's an incredible athlete, but there's other aspects that frustrate you about Devin White as well. So,
looking over the Bucs schedule here, I'm highlighting a few games here. I got the Bears Bucs week 2, then the Eagles come into town week 3 for a Monday night football game. You got the Lions coming into town.
All over the place here. I'll say this: I could see the Bucs starting 4-1. I could see us starting 0-5. I think I originally had 0-4 start. Yeah, I could see us losing to Minnesota, Chicago, Philadelphia, and New Orleans going into the bye week 0-4, and then you got to play Detroit when you get out of the bye week. I could legitimately see us going 0-5 to start. Now, I could also see Baker Mayfield playing great. The Bucs team itself has not changed. The only thing that's changed. What? You don't like Baker Mayfield?
I just
Everybody says the ball's just popping off of his hands right now.
I saw the reports that the NFL execs say he just never has had a good shake throughout his time.
Never had a
You know.
good team around him. This is his first time being able to step into a role where he is properly supported by an organization and his teammates. You know, it's going to be very interesting to see. Very interesting. I have never been a Baker Mayfield fan in my life.
How is he not surrounded with talent in Cleveland? Did he not have OBJ?
What did he have?
He had OBJ, 80. What was the other wide receiver? Jarvis Landry.
Jarvis Landry. Yep.
Who was the running back?
Nick Chubb.
Those aren't good.
Hypothetically.
Those aren't good pieces.
Hypothetically, I have an opinion. My opinion is that small quarterbacks should not throw to small wide receivers. I don't think it works. I think if you're a tall quarterback throwing to small wide receivers, it's different because you're throwing down toward their angle. But if you're a short quarterback, you're trying to lob the ball over defensive and offensive linemen, over DBs into a perfect niche, basically, of a place to throw a football. I think it's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
Well, that's why nobody wants short quarterbacks.
You give Baker Mayfield, well, obviously the Carolina Panthers do. That's why they drafted Bryce Young. You can't even stand over the freaking podium. Now, when you talk about guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, good tight ends, you're gonna have your offensive line is gonna be solidified again up front. It should be good. Running game will be a question mark. They're talking about bringing in Zeke for 1 year on like a $2 million deal to be a RB2.
I thought Zeke already signed somewhere.
He did not. He's still a free agent. Our running backs coach was actually his running backs coach last year in Dallas. Who did a great job with Tony Pollard. We brought him in this year to coach up Rashad White. He just had a conversation with Zeke where he said, Zeke, you got to stop thinking that you're going to get paid $11 or $12 million a year. Nobody is paying you that. You need to eat it. Take a deal for $1 million and keep it moving and just get on the field somewhere. So I do think there is that aspect as well. I think our defense is going to be ridiculous. Obviously, it won't be on the same level as a Baltimore, or Miami. I think those are going to be two of the best defenses in the entire NFL this year. However, I do think it will be good. I think we have a shot. But yeah, like I said, I could definitely see us going 0-5. I could also see us going 5-0.
So we can agree that there is no open competition for quarterback play. The job is Baker Mayfield's to lose. Can we agree on that?
No. I think it started as an open quarterback competition. I think that obviously from what they've seen so far in the first few days of camp, Baker Mayfield has looked much more impressive. He controls the huddle. He walks in there. He puts his nuts on the table and gets into people, which they want. Kyle Trask is just a beta. It is what it is. That's why they had to bring in Wofford or whatever his name is as a third quarterback.
How many practices have they had?
A few.
And
how many practices has Kyle Trask had to prove himself over the years?
With first team reps?
Okay. See, now we talk about reps and not what's actually inside the individual himself.
No, hey, look, I'm on the same token of if he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. I'm actually going to go down there and see. I emailed my rep this morning about
appreciate that
what practices I can get to because we're going to have
your uninformed fan credentials.
I would love to have that. Justice, what's up, man? Glad to see you. You missed the entire breakdown of the Heat, buddy.
There's nothing to talk about with the Heat.
Yeah, there is. Plenty of Heat. Make sure you rewind it. We got you covered.
The Heat will win the night, and they will be swept by whoever they play the next round.
Yeah, I'm not rehashing that. So my point is, okay, you don't think that there's a difference between throwing to Mike Evans versus throwing to wide receiver number 5? Don't you think that there's a certain position that you could put the ball in for Mike Evans to grab?
Mike Evans will make you look better, but I don't know if your throws are changing that much. Why are your throws changing when you're throwing to certain receivers?
Well, if one's 6'5" and one's 6 foot,
bigger,
that's a different avenue.
Kyle Trask is not a small dude. He doesn't have the what I'm talking about when it comes to like a Baker Mayfield, a Kyler Murray, a Bryce Young. Guys who are shorter who are trying to get the ball up and over linemen and up and over DBs.
I'm not talking about anything like that. All I'm saying is there's a difference between taking first team reps and third team reps. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying if he doesn't have the talent, which obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have agreed with because they just signed another quarterback. But I'm just saying, what have we had? One week of practice? I mean, if we've already made that evaluation after 1 week of practice, then I guess, it was very biased, and going into that practice, you had the GMs and you had other coaches all they were doing is talk about how great Baker Mayfield's going to be. So again, like what we talked about as far as the mentality of Kyle Trask going into this season, and we talked about how what he needed in order to be able to succeed in the practice to take over the reins. The Bucks did everything completely opposite, which we also said was going to have a severe mental impact on him as well. But if you don't have the mental capacity to do it, then you don't deserve to play. I 100% agree with that. I'm just saying, from the time that Baker Mayfield was signing, it never really felt to me like it was going to be an open competition. It just didn't to me. But I could be 100% wrong. Believe it or not, it's happened before. I've been wrong before.
What if Baker Mayfield gets hurt and Kyle Trask gets a chance to go out there and play, and he ends up winning over the job and never, unrelinquishing it?
I don't know.
There's a possibility of that too. I will say this about the Bucs schedule, right? As tough it is in the first part, if they can get through that first part of the season, that first third of the season, I think it definitely thins out a little bit toward the middle.
I don't agree.
Even toward the end.
I would give you towards the end.
Right.
Well,
Why?
I mean,
because the middle's fine.
Well, okay, so we talked about the Vikings, the Bears, the Eagles, the Saints, the Lions. Okay, then we talk about the Falcons. Should be, but then they go to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
That one's not.
Buffalo's not going to be great this year.
They're going to be better than the Bucs.
Buffalo's the third best team in that division this year.
It would be number 1 in the AFC South. Yes.
Okay.
So then
the AFC South,
NFC South. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
If they were in the Bucs,
make sure you're accurate because the Bucs play the AFC South this year.
So then they go to the Texans, Titans, which we agree a little bit softer there. Then they go out to San Francisco. That's not going to be an easy game. You have the Colts, Panthers, Falcons again, that run, and Packers. Those are going to be easy ones. And then the Jags.
That's the middle of the schedule.
That's towards the end. Those are the last 4 out of 6 games. I mean, the middle would be 8. I just say I think there's definitely some room to cruise in there, right? But as we've seen with anything with the NFL, it's any given Sunday. And
give me 10-7 for the Bucs this year.
I have them at 9-8 is what I put them out, and I do believe Jeremy has said the over/under for the Bears
6.5
is 6.5
for the Bucs.
For the Bucs, yes, 7.5 for the Bears, but we'll get to them in a second. But
so
I love the over on that.
The over.
Yeah,
over on that. They have a great roster. It's just, can the quarterback not turn the ball over? We'll see what happens with Dave Canales as well too, the new offensive coordinator who came over from Seattle, who was just an absolute revelation last year. Should be very fun to see.
Very fun to see. And as soon as I get the email back from folks about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we'll let you know when we're going to go down. I'd love for Jeffrey to come with me if he can manage some time to go down there. We're going to watch some practice. I want to see these throws that supposedly he's not making or making. And I want to see this balls on the table command that Baker Mayfield has brought to the Buccaneers after Tom Brady's balls to the table and how it relates. So we shall see that. Any closing thoughts on the Bucs schedule, Jeffrey?
No, I think it's super soft. I think it's super winnable, and I look forward to being in the playoffs again this year.
Absolutely, as I do too, selling my tickets. Moving on to the Bears. So the Bears open up against the Packers at home. And I will say that this is the most crucial game to the Bears' schedule this season. And let me tell you why. As we've all known, the Packers have owned the Bears for about 3 decades now, going back to Brett Favre. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. We have finally seen a change in leadership with the Packers. We've seen an opportunity. We've seen teams kind of progressing in 2 different ways. The Packers are losing their star quarterback. Justin Fields is emerging as the potential starting star quarterback for the Bears. If the Packers go into Soldier Field and beat the Bears week 1, it's going to absolutely deflate that team. 100%. They are going to have 0 freaking confidence. And if they lose that game, then they're going to go into Bucs with 0 confidence, and they're going to lose that game. And then they're going to go into Kansas City, and they're going to lose that game. That game might get actually pretty ugly. But I really feel like the Bears, that first week, they have to beat the Packers. If they do not beat the Packers, it's going to be a steamroll downhill season. If they beat the Packers at home, I think that the sky is the limit for the Bears this year.
you and I love Jeremy. I do not think the Bears are going to have a great year this year. I think there will be flashes of greatness that we see that they can expound upon. Absolutely. But I do think that they will struggle. That division, for whatever we want to say, is going to be better than what we expect. I think Jordan Love, being under the tutelage of Matt LaFleur, that he's been able to have for the past few years, I think he's going to have a great year this year. Vikings will definitely take a step back. Lions, as we expect, I think will take a step forward.
But you're not a fan of the LaFleurs.
I have never been a fan of Matt LaFleur with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
Okay. All right.
I am very interested. I'm very interested to see this year for the first time where Matt LaFleur has a chance to spread his wings and literally have his offense and his vision run. I think that Matt LaFleur has been handcuffed his entire career by Aaron Rodgers and been held hostage by Aaron Rodgers. And I want to see what he has to offer. It's a make or break year for Matt LaFleur. You know, this is going to be his team. Pretty much everybody. What's so funny?
Ian, dude. Bucks will suck again for another 40 years. He's just. We're not going to entertain this. We're not going to entertain this. We're not going to entertain this.
Thank you. Just please keep commenting on the YouTube channel. We appreciate your engagement, Ian. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Absolutely. Hit a thumbs up.
I think their defense will be pretty good for Green Bay this year as well too. That's the one thing that worries me about the Bears is going to be defense again. I don't know if they were able to build as much as I would have liked them to on defense in the offseason. So yeah, I think it'll be a make or break year from Matt LaFleur, and I give me the Packers to make it this year. I think the
wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. Give me the Packers to make it. Make what? The playoffs?
I said it's gonna. I think the Packers make the playoffs this year. I think they
playoffs
this year. Yeah.
They win the division?
Yeah. Did we just break up?
No. That's just that's something right there, buddy. All right.
Yeah, I think the Packers win the division. I think they're just as good, if not better, without Aaron Rodgers on that team, honestly. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I think Jordan Love's going to get out of the pocket a lot more as well too. They're more of a dual threat. Their defense is going to be good this year. As long as Jordan Love can just not turn the ball over, I think they have a legitimate shot at winning that division this year.
So you have Green Bay going to Chicago and beating them week 1.
Yes.
Which is going to spin my team into a downward spiral.
Yes.
Okay. Jeff
I think
says
there will be flashes
Packers win division. Okay. Just making a little note to that right here. I want to make sure that we come back to that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying I think there will be flashes of greatness from Justin Fields and from this Bears team. I just worry about the defense a little bit overall, in my opinion.
Well, if we've seen anything, we've seen the potential for the Bears to be able to put up points regardless of who they're playing or what they're doing. And I think with that tandem and running back now, especially with the kid coming out of Texas, I think he's definitely a sleeper. If he wasn't behind Bijan Robinson, he probably would have been on everybody's radar with tons more yards, touchdowns, et cetera, et cetera. You added DJ Moore to the mix. You have the receivers that you do, Cole Kmet. I think that the Bears are going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, they were their number 1 rushing team last year, but a lot of that had to do with Justin Fields. I'm really, really excited to see the game plan for the Bears. Last year it was all about Justin Fields just completely running. And, there's a lot of questions going into this year, and this is definitely a make or break year for Justin Fields. I don't think anybody has them, excelling and, making any type of noise. But this is a very, very important year for the Bears to figure out if Justin Fields is the quarterback of the future, if he can, become the pocket passer that you need him to be alongside with the mobile quarterback that he is. What do you mean?
Let's be honest, though. Look at a guy like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones still has not developed into a pocket passer or the quarterback that the Giants thought he was, but they just committed to him for the foreseeable future.
Correct, but what I'm saying is Daniel Jones has made the passes that he needs to from the pocket at times.
Okay. I don't think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback, but that's just my personal view.
Well then. Anyway, as we were saying, so I got the Bears. So obviously, Bears, Bucks, Chiefs. I mean, the Bears don't have a very. I mean, they play the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. That should be.
I can't wait to see this again.
You know
what a time that was in life last year. Oh my goodness!
Everybody, the comments are hilarious. Oh, it was a 10-7 barn burner last year. Let's run it back.
Yeah. I mean, we actually the goal line stand, the way that it all came to fruition.
We actually had
an unbelievable night.
We actually have 2 Thursday night games this year.
That speaks volumes of what they think about your team. But just an absolute unbelievable. And Ian, you can comment back in on this if you'd like to, because I know you were there, and it was a great time at Kitty O'Shea's Irish Pub and Buffalo Bar that night. The vibes were high. Man, it was intense. I think Tyson stormed off and left.
I did. I was pissed.
Correctly.
I was pissed.
It was a time to be had. Very, very good.
And let's be clear, Ian has never left the chat. He has been putting in some amazing comments, some amazing content. There's a couple Eddie Munster references. $50, Jeff. $50 hair. Lot of good. I don't know.
$50 on what, Ian? What would you like?
Commies are coming to dog walk you.
What would you like $50 on, Ian? Whatever you'd like.
I don't know,
buddy. You want a better record, Bucks or Commanders this year?
Right? We're not falling into this rabbit hole. Anyway, so looking over the Bears' schedule, outside of that, you got your usual suspects, but I think the Bears are definitely a 500 team. Potential either way, depending on the close flips,
Yeah,
it definitely could be a 9-8 team. I have them both slated at 9-8, to be perfectly honest. So I guess if I'm laying my money, I'm taking the over on both of them.
Who takes a step back in your division then?
I definitely think the Vikings take a step back.
I agree.
They lost some key components, but however, they did add some, key components for what they've lost. You still have Justin Jefferson, who. I watched the video the other day of the Philadelphia Eagles passing on him. And I don't know if you saw it, but they had the Minnesota Vikings, the entire war room, after they passed it on Jefferson, were just like, what? And they were just going ballistic that they were able to get him. So I definitely I think the Lions obviously is the team on the way up. I think the Packers are on the way down. I think the Vikings are on the way down. And I think the Bears, they're going to make some steps over last year. But, again, we're not. I don't foresee them going, 12 and 10 wins or double-digit wins or anything of that nature. We'll see though. I mean, you never know. New offensive weapons. We'll see.
Who are your weapons that you procured?
DJ Moore. It's kind of a big weapon.
He's a good weapon.
Yeah,
for sure.
Weapon. Better than what we had. I don't know.
Will you have any DJ so? Obviously, when we get into fantasy football, there's just guys who I say I'm not gonna draft that guy. Is there anybody who you're targeting though?
For the Bears?
Yeah.
No. Justin Fields. I will draft Justin Fields. As somebody that picked him up last year. Actually, I drafted him. I dropped him, I believe, week 3 or 4, and then Jeremy, just not our Jeremy, Gigantor, slooped him up, set him on his bench, and then he goes off. He never even started him, I don't think. And then I had to pull off some miraculous trade, which worked out great for me, as the tight end got hurt the very first play after the trade.
Yeah, basically, if you don't know, he traded Zach Ertz for Justin Fields, which in our league raised some question marks. Let's just say that. And as somebody who Jeremy had Jalen Hurts on his team as well, he decided to ride with that pony instead of riding with Justin Fields, which ended up being the demise of his season.
Absolutely. And I didn't make the playoffs, but I took somebody down with me. And you guys should all be happy for that. But yes, I traded for Justin Fields. I picked up Cole Kmet, and we went on a run. We ripped off 6 straight wins to finish 6-6 and miss the playoffs. It was a great feeling. Another great feeling with fantasy sports. Love it. Love the writing. Love going out, starting the year just as we did in baseball, losing the first 4 or 5 weeks, then coming back, storming back, winning to miss the playoffs, only when my team is just completely blowing everybody out of the water. It was a great feeling. Looking forward to getting this year. Absolutely. And then, hey, think about it this year. We got 2 teams that can let us down this year. Hey.
We get to co-own a team this year.
That's right. Jordan Addison's going to step into the Adam Thielen spot. This is also the first time in history that one team has played 2 Thursday night football games. As Jeffrey said, that's what they think of your team. Speaking of things that, that we didn't pass it, did you see the Jalen Carter video?
See it.
Let's show it here
you want to play it?
Yeah, let's show it here for our fans.
Right. I'll check it out.
Let me figure out how to do this better.
Keep in mind too that this was predicated with Jalen Carter caught on video throwing up gang signs. So it was the caption to the video to me was a little egregious. But.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what we're really going for here is, the captions. Absolutely. It's just
work.
It's working. You just gotta be smarter than the system. So anyway, this is the video here. We're gonna let everybody watch it. Oxycontin, Zans, Molly, Lean.
So those are rap lyrics,
right?
However, let's just say this. Regardless, obviously, I think he's wearing Georgia Bulldog colors and he's just, throwing up some whatever. I don't think he's throwing up intentional blood gang signs, in my opinion.
We got any Bloods watching today? Any Bloods out there that can comment? Anybody?
I will say this, though. Coming off of everything that he's been involved in, I know there is now a civil suit against him from the player and I believe the recruiting lady who was with the player who ended up dying in that car accident. He's being sued in a civil suit. I genuinely hope that they get most of his money. He's also on 1 year of probation as well, too. So if I don't know, like those people in the car, I guess they could potentially be gang members. I don't know. I do know that if they were, that would be a violation of his probation, and he would end up going to jail. So that would be an issue as well, too.
Justice, y'all so white. Yes, we are white, but we are talking about what the mainstream is also talking about, and the fact that this young man is just not making good business decisions. And as we
it's just
analyze,
a bad look, Justice.
As we analyze why teams were passing on him, and strictly, more so than not the Bears. The Bears were one of the teams and they came out and said that there was other things. He didn't say it. He just said that the character is a big thing. And when you read a lot of the articles, there was a lot more that came out as far as him quitting on the combine because he was tired. His just whether he actually has the passion to pro day, where he actually has the passion to play football. And when you're now in the limelight, you killed 2 people or you were involved in that in some way, whatever. You lied about it to the police. A lot of people were willing to look it over. You just, when it comes to social media and stuff like this, you got to just go away for a while, in my opinion. I mean, every spotlight is on you. The NFL spotlight is on you. Every team spotlight is on you. Everybody's going to be looking for verification that they made the right decision by passing on you or that they made the right decision by drafting you. And when you put out stuff like this that can be interpreted in any different way, yes, the guy's just having a good time, just feeling himself, whatever, but, when you have teams that are investing millions in you and you already had somewhat of a character question, it's just not a good look, and it's probably just not something that he probably should have done. Plus, like you said, he is on probation. He is involved in a $40 million lawsuit with the University of Georgia, and the father of the player who died as well is suing them as well, and then the other one as well. It's just, it's just not a good look. Let's just say that. It's just not a good look.
It's a terrible look. And listen, like if you were to post that video without talking about all different kinds of drugs in the captions, and I understand it's a rap song, but it doesn't matter. Like, just don't put that on there,
Well, people, I mean, let's go the other way. If you put up a video and you're white and you use the words that are in said video or said song, there's serious ramifications or but you have an NFL player, regardless of how you want to talk about it, promoting rap lyrics that talk about taking OxyContin and all this other stuff, which, most people just jam along. They don't even think about what the actual words mean or whatever. I mean, it's just, you look at it this way, regardless of what you're saying, you're promoting those lyrics to your followers.
Somebody who loves hip hop and has listened to, Little White, and if you know what song I'm talking about, then, you understand what I'm saying. I would never post that on my social media or my Facebook, or my Twitter or whatever it is. And I'm just Joe Schmo. I'm not a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. But anyway, speaking of people who didn't get picked in the NFL draft or did get picked in the NFL draft.
Yeah. I don't know. And again, it's somebody who actually owns a label, I guess, and has a hip hop artist that uses all of these types of things. It's just not a look it's not a good look when you have the spotlight on you. Let's just leave that. So the last thing that we're going to talk about today is Matt Araiza.
Punt God.
Kid that was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, punter, and then was accused or named in a rape allegations. Now, if you remember this was about a year and a half ago. I think so, right? Year and a half?
A couple years ago. And everybody came out and said, this guy needs to lose his job. He needs to lose everything. Got canceled.
Got canceled. Fell to the woke culture. Now it comes out he wasn't even there. So now, once again, mainstream media and everybody else that's so high on their virtues, that sit up on their high horse, that have never done anything wrong in their entire life, has ruined a man's entire future because somebody said his name without any facts. And as we're going to end the program on this, I just have to say that this is exactly what is wrong with today's society. There's no room for errors. There's no mistakes. There's nothing in, if a man is named in a sexual allegation lawsuit, anything, if a man is named, he is instantly guilty. 100% guilty until proven innocent. And that's not the way that this country, I don't care if you're white, brown, whatever. If you are accused of something, you are innocent until proven guilty. The state, the courts, the federals, they have the responsibility of proving without a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. And until that time, by a jury of your peers, you are innocent. Unless you do something that the mainstream media and anybody else just doesn't agree with. They canceled this poor kid. He got cut from the Bills. Who knows if he's ever going to get a shot in the league now again, and he did absolutely nothing wrong. Shame on you, ESPN. Shame on you, all of you mainstream media. Shame on all of you that put out hit pieces on him and talk about this is what's wrong in society. You guys are all pieces of shits. And I hope that they come down on you, which I know they won't. And you have to, there's some sort of punishment for journalism in this country for, again, putting out the mob, for whatever you want to call it, to go after somebody with absolutely zero evidence, with just a headline, because you want clicks and you want people to be driven to your page, follow your social media account, retweet your shit, like your Facebook, whatever demented, stupid shit that you have in your head. Shame on you, Jeffrey.
I would love to see the details of this particular case. I don't know why he hasn't been screaming from the rooftops for the past few years that he was not there. He was not at the scene. He did admit to a consensual relationship with the victim as well. Now, they just came out with this finding in the past week saying that they just found out from evidence that he was not there on the night that it was said to have happened.
So where had been this evidence from day one, though? So basically what I'm assuming is he said he wasn't there. Somebody else said he was. So where he said, she said. Right? I mean,
I don't know. Like I said, I would have to delve into the actual physical evidence of the case. And I know that he has said that he did consensually sleep with this woman as well, too. As somebody who was a guy who said that the incident for Jameis Winston at Florida State, to me, was egregious in terms of the way that he was persecuted for that, when all the evidence that I read said that it would have been a consensual relationship. This is a very tough, sticky issue. I feel terrible for the kid that he was canceled in the manner that he was. That being said, he is a free agent. He was one of the most highly touted kids to come out as a punter. You know, NFL teams can always love punters and love to get those guys in there. I'm sure he will get a shot somewhere if he wants it. I'm not sure where he's at. I don't know if he wants to project himself back into the spotlight once again. And also, does the team want to take a chance and have that narrative going forward? That's another tough ask as well, too. So just an unfortunate situation all around. It does suck. You know, one of my favorite people, Emmanuel Acho, who I know you were not a huge fan of the Achos. You had said you're not really a fan of sometimes what their rhetoric is, but I did want to give him a shout out. He did say there were several think pieces from credible NFL journalists crushing Matt Araiza before there was any evidence. Matt Araiza may never realize his NFL dream due to a false rape accusation. I hope the apologies are as deafening as the accusations were.
And they won't be.
And all we ask is that from our pundits and from people that we get information of is to keep it 100 and to keep it the exact same energy going both ways. And I appreciate that Emmanuel Acho can be somebody, a voice of reason, who can give us both sides of the story and keep people accountable. I do.
And that's one of the reasons I also like JJ Redick, because he did the same thing with the ESPN First Take and calling out, you know, Big Perk when he was basically saying that the NBA voting is rigged because all of the majority of the voters were all white, so they vote for white people. And, you know, it's just, again, it's the same thing. It's who can break the story first, regardless if there's facts or anything. And you know what? Shame on the San Diego prosecutors as well for putting this out there. And basically, I don't know if he was formally charged or just suspected. But again, it was leaked because he is, you know, somebody of a high stature value. Jeremy said he was at the party but left the party before the video clips that the prosecutors showed to charge him. So he was probably at the party again, whatever, just the timelines didn't add up. But regardless, like you just said, this is just another example of the media, especially social media in our country, just trying to be the first to get the story out, regardless if it's true, whatever facts. There's no repercussions for this anymore. It's just who can get the story out first. Just get it out there. We'll figure out the details later. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, it did smear this young man's name. And, you know, not to discredit or to, you know, not take as seriously the things that did happen to this woman at this party. Those are obviously very serious allegations and very serious things that should be dealt with. I just wish that we could wait till we have all of the facts. We see it all the time, no matter what comes out. It's just, oh, this person did this. And it's like, well, wait, let's see the facts. And then all of a sudden you see a different camera angle. And it's like, wait a minute, this is a whole different story. But you've already filleted this person. You've already canceled this person. And yet when it comes out, just like you said, but when it's the other way around, it doesn't seem to have the same energy, just as you said, if it doesn't fit the narrative. Absolutely.
I learned a long time ago, the more times you put yourself in a high-risk situation, the more likely you are to get in trouble for something. Do not put yourself in high-risk situations.
That's why I don't go to kiddies as much.
There's no point to it, you know? And it's tough as somebody who is raising, you know, young men in this world as well. You know, it's a debate that I have within. Do I want to send my kids to college? I know what my college experience was like, you know, and it had a lot of, you know, getting blacked out drunk and, you know, casual, you know, relations and, you know, different things. And, you know, is that something that I would want my kids to do, you know? And
I'm going to tell you the word is absolutely.
Or do I want to pay out of my own pocket for them to go do that when they can do the same thing, you know?
Hey, I'll tell you the same thing that my father told me, and I think it was just a great thing. Is he said, Tyson, I'm just a factory worker. If you want to go to college, you either get the grades to get yourself a scholarship or play some type of a sport to get yourself a college, because I ain't paying for it.
Yeah.
Now, all of the time, I didn't realize that they were actually saving just in case. But so I put my nose to the grindstone, got a golf scholarship. Never went to a whole first 4-year college, though. I do regret that. Unfortunately, I was committed to the Florida Gators, and they were not committed to me. So, I don't know. But, you know, just to wrap it up, we did have some quick information that just came in. It's funny that we were talking about Mark Jackson today and why he hasn't become a coach. And, you know, this just came out, and maybe this is why. So there was one person who had the MVP ballot that left Joe Kick off of their ballot altogether, and that was Mark Jackson. Thoughts?
Do we know who he had as MVP?
I'm assuming Joel.
I haven't seen the article. I just saw Dickhead, screenshot something and send it to the group. And he hasn't shut up the entire episode that we've been on. So I didn't really get a chance to click on the article.
There was no leak. It was just a screenshot. And also, Justice said, "Don't let him lie. Jeff was a virgin in college."
Yeah, honey, if you're listening today, you were my first.
Very
and
pure.
last.
Very pure.
Yes. Yeah.
Jeremy has just chimed in and said, Jackson said it was an honest mistake. Jeremy, can you link me? Can you link me the article real quick so we can check it out?
It was an honest mistake. I mean, listen.
How do you make an honest mistake by leaving somebody off your ballot? It was like the dipshit that didn't vote Ken Griffey Jr. in the first ballot because he didn't want anyone to have a unanimous first ballot.
Nobody should be a unanimous. Right. If anybody should be unanimous, it should be the guy who literally played his entire career in the steroid era, never used steroids, still batted the exact same as everybody else, was one of the best fielders of all time, and was the kid.
Do we know he didn't use steroids?
He's never been accused.
He's never been caught of using steroids. I like that terminology better. In
a time and era where everybody was accused of using steroids and everybody was proven to have used steroids, Griffey was never linked to anybody who provided steroids. Griffey was never tested or tested positive
I'm not
steroids.
slandering the guy. I'm not slandering the guy.
Just watch your tone when it comes to this, okay?
He's one of my favorite. So
favorite
he said
baseball player of all time.
His votes were Embiid, Giannis, Tatum,
Okay.
Gilgeous Alexander,
Shy, yeah,
and Donovan Mitchell. Honest mistake, right? Honest mistake that you left Joker off. Right?
That didn't cost him the MVP though, right? It wasn't like that cost him the MVP.
I definitely don't think that I don't think that it was off by one vote. He voted for one center, 2 forwards, 2 guards. But it just seems like, I don't know. Seems a little fishy to me.
So you think that Mark Jackson didn't vote for him because he's white?
I'm not saying that, Jeffrey. You would never hear something like that out of me. I'm just saying it seems a little fishy that obviously he's one of, throughout the entire season, it was talked about how it was basically a 2-man battle, right? It was either the Joker or Embiid throughout the entire season. Everybody knew that. It was coming down to those 2 people. And one of the 2 people, he just leaves off the ballot completely. Just seems weird. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear his take on it.
Very interesting. I mean, obviously, I think Jokic was number 2. I thought Embiid was number 1. Everybody has their own opinion on it. I know I am in the minority when I say that I thought Embiid was the MVP, and that's fine with me. I have no problem being a minority. Or I'm sorry, I have no problem.
Whoa! Canceled.
I have no problem being in the minority whatsoever. It's not an issue for me when it comes to my opinion. So, yeah, cool, whatever. I think Embiid was the MVP. I think Jokic was number 2. I think Jokic is an incredible basketball player.
I think the MVP. Can I just go on a limb here? This might ruffle some feathers. I think the MVP award is an absolute joke.
Why?
It carries no merit.
I think it does for Hall of Fame credentials and for different things like that. When you talk about legacy and you talk about last night, some kid was talking about how his opinion was about LeBron and that, like he played that Mavs team and that Mavs team was full of Hall of Famers, and Tyson Chandler won a Defensive Player of the Year twice, and so therefore he should be in the Hall of Fame. And it's just like, God bless, like you're 25, homie. It'd be nice to be that naive about things. However, like Tyson Chandler does not belong in the Hall of Fame. But I do think when you add in certain credentials and stuff like that, then yes, you will. So it does matter.
So are we voting that somebody's
score.
Are we voting that leading score is just laid out in paper? I'm talking about subjective accolades. So are we giving Joel Embiid the MVP because he has played at a high level and he deserves something? Because, like we talked about on our group chat, if the MVP sits out a game and your team wins and you come back and they get blown out the next game, that doesn't really mean that you're the most valuable person on that team, does it?
So much more to that, though, and it's very disingenuous for you to say something like that, because
It's
you have
not
to know,
disingenuous.
Embiid was out for 2 weeks, bro. He's out for 2 weeks. He didn't have his legs under him, right? He comes back. The team now has to readjust their style of play to what they were before that they haven't done in the past 2 weeks.
Then why come back if you're not 100%?
How would you get your legs back in game action or get game reps? What are you talking about?
We're talking about the playoffs. You've had enough game reps throughout the entire year. What game reps are going to change now?
You need your body to readapt to running up and down the court at a high level for 40 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. If you think Joel Embiid is running up and down the court at a high level, you see that man sprinting? That dude cherry picks more than LeBron. He doesn't even make it past half court half the time.
Watch Embiid in his first 2 games back compared to what he was. Maybe not last night. Last night he had a few lackadaisical plays at the very end that I think cost him the game. But before that, night and day, his conditioning, his aggression, his tenor, his approach, everything is completely different from when he came back that first game to 3 games later. Absolutely, you need game reps and you need to get your legs back.
So we just get to pick and choose which games we want to use for argument's sake.
You can use any game. He was more aggressive last night, too. He just had 2 bad plays at the very end.
You just said it was a little lackadaisical.
Those were the 2 plays where he got a little lackadaisical.
So, would an MVP be lackadaisical?
Do you think Jokic sprints?
I think it's a joke. I just said that. Absolutely not. I think he's like a blob that just like bounces down the court half the time. I just said
Jokic is like a really good volleyball player. Like he like taps the ball.
Exactly.
And, does all these things and just kind of throws the ball up as he runs in, and
I think it's a joke.
60% from the free throw line. Like Embiid literally takes their free throws. He's the best free throw shooter on their team.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that the award is a joke. I just think it's a gold star to put on your chest. When you think of
absolutely.
Absolutely. When you think about, even when Jordan played, you had Kobe in there, you had Shaq in there. It was just, it's just here you go. Okay, you're the MVP this year. Thank you very much. I don't think it's like, I just don't think it. I think it's a joke. I think it's just more of like, who do we want to acknowledge that had a really good season?
Tyson, LeBron would have won MVP 10 years in a row. He was the best player on the court for a decade, the most valuable player to his team for a decade straight. He's got like 1 or 2.
Then obviously he's not MVP.
Okay.
On that note, woo! We are headed into the weekend. We got some good game 6s, game 7s, hopefully coming around the corner. We got Mother's Day around the corner. Make sure you take care of your wife, your mothers, and everybody that means that much to you.
Love you, Mom.
In your life. And on that note, I do believe we are out of here. Jeffrey, do you have anything else for the group today?
No.
I'm really looking forward to get into the group chat after this. And
you don't even know it. Like, it's getting very interesting in there right now. We appreciate everybody listening. Thank you so much. Be great. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I love you, Amanda. My mom, Sienna. I love everybody who helps take care of my kids and my family. I appreciate you guys.
Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll talk again on Monday.
Absolutely.